Hey guys, welcome back to Monday Matinee. My name is Steven.
And I'm Chris.
So today we're talking about the IMAX experience and the recent IMAX reissues such as E.T. and Jaws. So man, are you a fan of the IMAX experience? You know what I mean? Because some people don't appreciate the big sound or that surcharge.
I am very much a fan of the IMAX experience. I mean, not all movies, of course, but movies that are meant to be seen in IMAX or give that good experience to see in IMAX. And obviously, there are films that are shot specifically to be in IMAX. But I would say I fell in love with the IMAX experience with Avatar, the James Cameron movie. And it was actually a 3D IMAX experience. And just from there, it's like any movie that, like I'd mentioned, is meant to be in IMAX, whether it be a high action movie or just a visual spectacle on the screen. It's always such a great movie theater experience to be able to see a movie like that on, a much larger screen.
Yeah, man, you just can't beat the IMAX experience. Like, some people are fine watching movies at home and won't take advantage of some of these IMAX reissues, which is just baffling to me. Yeah, probably Avatar and IMAX 3D or Interstellar. Those are some that really stood out to me. And both of those were, yeah, experiences, right? Even movies that aren't actually filmed in IMAX or 65 mil. Like how about those, man? Like, do you think movies like those are worth the extra surcharge?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say, yeah, if it's not really meant to be in IMAX, I really don't think it really is warranted to, pay that extra charge to see it. Yeah, it's nice to get a bigger screen, but sometimes it's not really to me like worth it. Like if there's a movie that wasn't meant to be in it, sometimes you're like especially movie screens these days, they're pretty big. I want to say they're larger than they have been in the past, and even visually they look just as stunning. But with IMAX, you get that fuller screen, which again, if you're not getting that much more detail, I don't think it would be worth to see a movie that wasn't filmed in IMAX.
Yeah, man, I agree. Like sometimes I think bigger is better, but then you get a movie like, let's say, The Avengers or Spider-Man No Way Home or the recent Bullet Train, which aren't filmed in IMAX. And sometimes those I'm just okay watching them in regular standard widescreen. So I particularly want to see films that take the full advantage of that 143, that IMAX screen.
Yeah, I mean, I totally would agree. Like I was saying, if it's not meant to be in it, then, the regular normal screens are, just as good. If I was going to pay an extra surcharge, I probably would try to do more so of the Dolby Atmos, where you get the more, like crisp sounds and like the louder booms, especially for a movie like Bullet Train or the Avengers movies, where maybe there's not too much sound, but like just like the high action intense scenes might work a little bit better with Adobe Atmos rather than seeing something in IMAX just on a bigger screen.
So before we get to the recent reissues, man, like what's a movie you saw in IMAX recently? What's one that stood out? Like for me, it's got to be Nope. Most of the important scenes, such as the Gordy storyline, the night shot in the rain, the finale, all those were filmed in 65 mil, projected on 70 mil IMAX, and shot by the master Hoyte van Hoytema, from movies such as Dunkirk, Interstellar. So this movie largely benefited from like an immersion aspect by shooting IMAX.
The last movie I saw in IMAX was the one and only Top Gun Maverick, which was a spectacle on the silver screen, man. I mean, talk about a movie that was meant to see in IMAX. I know it was shot in IMAX, but even if it wasn't, I would say that's probably the one that's like borderline. We're like, maybe you can get by with, paying a little bit extra surcharge for that movie, just because that movie was one of the best action sequences that I've seen in a really long time, if ever.
Yeah, something like that just doesn't play the same at home. Top Gun was definitely an experience itself, which was greatly enhanced by like seeing it in theaters, which is why I saw it 3 times already, and it's still playing in theaters, right? Because this is a movie that people are seeing multiple times.
Right. And I would say what I was talking about with Dolby Atmos. I saw that movie twice, once in IMAX and once in Dolby Atmos. And talk about booming, man. Just like I felt like my popcorn was shaking, the chairs, dude. It was amazing.
Yeah, man. So a lot of these movies are kind of for an event of some sort, maybe a celebration, a holiday, maybe a sequel's coming out. And we both recently saw E.T. and Jaws. So let's get into E.T., man. What did you think?
Yeah, so seeing E.T. at IMAX was such an awesome experience. And I think one of those movies, those classic movies that is warranted to spend a little bit extra to see it in IMAX, simply because E.T.'s E.T., such a phenomenal, classic heartwarming movie by Steven Spielberg, one of my favorite movies of all time, and just has a very special place in my heart. So seeing it on the big screen and just getting that IMAX experience for it, I thought was phenomenal. One that my whole family loved.
I remember they released it for the 30th anniversary, but that was mostly notable because prior to that, Spielberg had, notoriously replaced the guns with walkie-talkies, and just before the 30th re-release, he switched it back to the guns. So he put the guns back in, stating that he would never mess with a classic again, which is, right on him. But yeah, man, just to have the opportunity to see E.T. and Jaws in theaters is just something I didn't think I'd get to experience. So these movies were filmed in 35 mil, but they did get an IMAX blow up. And I haven't seen E.T. in a long time, but I could appreciate a lot more things now, seeing it in IMAX in particular. The misty shots in the forest, the foggy backyard, the hazy bedroom scenes with the sun shining through the windows, and that orange glowing setting sun, right? I think it was in the Halloween. Beautiful.
Dude, I would have to agree. The scene where Elliot first orders the pizza and he's standing outside and he had mentioned like the fog and you see like the stars, or just the shots in the backyard where he's, first trying to discover ET. I was like, man, like you said, being able to see this movie not only in theaters but on IMAX, I just felt like just added to the movie that much more.
Yeah, man, and not to mention hearing John Williams' score just blast through the theater. Amazing.
Yeah, John Williams, man, God, just so crazy how just iconic that his scores have been just throughout the years.
Yeah, so speaking of John Williams, we both just saw Jaws in IMAX, which was a hell of an experience for me, dude. One that I was just greatly looking forward to ever since I found out they're doing it. Definitely my favorite Spielberg film.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Like we were talking about again, I guess it's just these classic movies that you loved as a kid. And really, I mean, myself only seeing E.T. and Jaws on a TV, the first one being a small TV that my family had. So being able to see it not only in theaters, but on the IMAX screen, and just, I mean, Jaws was one of those movies that scared me to even go into a pool or take a bath just because it just had that long lasting fear effect on myself. So seeing that giant shark Bruce on the big screen, and what would you say it was, like 6 feet 7 feet high, just like some of those shots where his mouth's coming out of the water, and it's just like I said, awe, like, oh my goodness, like that fear just came right back to me like it did when I was a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Just hearing that score on that title shot, I just looked around the theater. I could just see how excited everyone was. I saw people like taking photos when the title popped up. But just so many great moments that I was glad I could see on the big screen. The Vertigo shot, the Jaws reveal when Roy Scheider's character was tossing the chum in the water. Just classic, iconic cinema.
Yeah, and the scene where they're in the underwater cage and Jaws is just, he's just at the cage. And I just, yeah, like I said, seeing it on the big screen and seeing the theater was packed too for Jaws. And just because it's one of the first blockbusters movies ever to hit, cinema. So of course there's going to be a big crowd of people wanting to go see it. And just like we mentioned, the experience just brought us back to that experience of seeing these classic films.
Yeah, mine was also packed. I imagine it's just the older folks wanting to show the younger generation the experience of seeing Jaws in theaters, something that they were able to do. And I was glad to see quite a few young kids as well. Like, it really bugs me when people say something is bad just because it's old. I asked some people, like, hey, you gonna see Jaws in IMAX? And they said, isn't that movie really old? Or we could watch it at home. Like, that just bugs me.
Yeah, I asked because my mom, she goes to all these movies with us, and I asked her, I was like, did you see E.T. in theater? She's like, oh yeah. She's like, I remember going, she was telling me about her experience going with, my grandparents and her brothers and sisters. And I was like, what about Jaws? And she was like, no way. She was like, no, that's not a movie I wanted to see in theater. She's like, I didn't see it until she actually met my dad, and my dad was into all of these classic films, monster films too, as well. And she said it was fun to see in theaters, but she definitely was, I thought I could look over and she was kind of closing her eyes at times. Well, that brings me to this question. What movie would you want to see be re-released and to be able to see in IMAX?
All right, well, let's think of it like this. A lot of these movies are kind of for anniversaries, such as E.T. with the 40th anniversary. Jaws is just a reissue, but let's take it to next year. So we have a 30th anniversary, which would be 1993. So 1993 movies we're looking at. And that's perfect because one of my favorite movies was in 1993. And I'd pay big bucks to see Tombstone in IMAX. Just like the wide vistas, the horse riding scenes through the desert when he's on his vendetta. Another killer score by Bruce Broughton. I'm really hoping they re-release this one.
Damn, Tombstone. That would be such a phenomenal time to see in IMAX.
What do you got, man?
For myself, I'm gonna go with another big classic, but another Steven Spielberg movie and Jurassic Park.
Has there been a reissue of that? I feel there has.
There has been, yeah. I forget. I think when Jurassic World came out, they were showing the Jurassic Park movies, and I don't think there was any type of special kind of event. It was just sort of like kind of a one-off type of deal. But yeah, could you imagine seeing that T-Rex scene when you first see his foot and that whole scene with the car with the two young kids? Seeing those scenes again would just bring me back to being 5 years old again, seeing that movie for the first time.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw it, but I did pick up the 3D Blu-ray when it came out, which was great for the collection. All right, but let's take it further back to 40th anniversary, 1983. Anything stick out?
Ooh, 83, 83. Man, really wish Ghostbusters came out in 83, but that was 84. But for me, I guess gotta go with Return of the Jedi, man. Of course, dude. Imagine seeing that in IMAX. I mean, I remember the only times besides the new movies and the prequel movies seeing the OG series was that re-release in what was that, like 95, 96, where George Lucas, added his additions to it, as we all
Yeah.
know, and those re-releases. But to see Return of the Jedi, man, in IMAX, dude, just would be again just a amazing experience to want to see, and one I hope they put on the lineup.
Yeah, I remember I caught the re-releases when it came out just before the prequel did, but I don't think it was IMAX. But solid pick for sure. I have a feeling we'll be seeing that next year. So for myself, I think I'm going to go with the Brian De Palma classic, Scarface. And I know it's a crime drama. It's almost 3 hours long, I think 2:53. But De Palma was a master of his craft, and seeing this gritty Miami in IMAX would be pretty cool, I think.
And that end scene with Tony Montana and the Tommy gun, I think would be just again, just be like, oh my goodness, like just that experience again, just something about being in a movie theater and just seeing these classic nostalgic movies is just hits me, man, hits me. That's what theater's there for.
Oh yeah, great scene for sure. That'd be cool. All right, man. So I was looking at the list of future reissues. Definitely not all of them, but I'm going by what's showing at Regal. So let's see if you're catching these or skipping them. So Avatar is coming out really soon. That's going to be a definite yes, of course. But let's go to the next one. Also September, Spider-Man No Way Home. You catching it?
Yes, already got my tickets.
Really?
Yeah, there's supposed to be 11 minutes of extra unseen footage, and it got me, man. It got me.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pass for me. You know how I feel about Marvel. If I did see it, I just walk in on the end once the other Peters come.
Yeah.
All right, so also opening up in September is the movie The Blob. What do you think?
Ooh, 100% yes, dude. Blob, classic horror film. Yes.
Myself as well. Such a classic with surprisingly really good gory special effects. Ooh, Dawn of the Dead, the original 1978.
That is a even bigger yes for myself, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. Ooh, but 3D. 3D is a little bit gimmicky, especially something that wasn't filmed in 3D. So it'll be a game day decision.
Right.
Ooh, the original Halloween.
My family has probably one movie we watch multiple times a year during the Halloween season. And if we have a chance to check it out in theaters, that is a 100% yes for myself too.
My wife has seen the recent ones, the newest two of the trilogy, but not the original, so I can't wait for that. It's gonna be really cool. Also, Halloween, we got Trick or Treat, which was like the horror anthology, with like the Pumpkinhead boy.
Yeah. That one might not be such a solidified yes on my part, but like I mentioned, being my family is just huge into Halloween. That one might be a maybe. I'll put a maybe on that one for myself.
Yeah, I remember watching it for Halloween last year on HBO Max, and it's a really good movie, pretty creepy. But in theaters, if I have some time.
Yeah, that's one I probably wouldn't mind just checking out at home and experiencing it that way.
All right, we got Scream 2, which is the 25th anniversary. So there's another event. You seeing it?
Ooh, Scream 2. That one's probably leaning more on the yes, but still kind of maybe. Now, if it was Scream 1, that'd be 100% yes for myself.
Yeah, if I do, I think I'll definitely make like a marathon of it. Ooh, To Kill a Mockingbird coming out in November. This is for the 60th anniversary. This classic black and white movie based on the literature. This is one of the movies that most of us had to watch in English lit, but one that I actually really enjoy doing so.
I'll give a nod to the classic, so I'll give a yes for that one.
I think I'll have to check it out. It's been a while. Wow, so let's take it further back. We got a 75th anniversary for It's a Wonderful Life.
A Wonderful Life. I'm assuming it's going to be around Christmas time.
Yeah, December 18th.
December 18th. Again, another nod to the classics and get myself into the Christmas spirit. So yes, for It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, for me as well. Can't go wrong with the classics.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy these re-releases, IMAX, just because it just makes going to the movies fun again. I mean, seeing these nostalgic classics, as I mentioned, it's just such a good time. So yeah, so thank you for joining us on this IMAX talk. Until next time, later days, friends.
All right, guys, if you stuck around to the end, we definitely appreciate it. And thanks for joining.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
All right, see you on the next one.